stringent security measures being rolled out by many states in northern Nigeria, similar in nature, you may say. Let's get your perspective on these measures as they're being thrown out. To what extent do you think they can deal with worsening insecurity?
Hopefully, to a large extent. Why I say so is because sometimes I think it's very important for us to understand from first principle issues that are happening within the security situations in Nigeria, especially in the northwestern part of Nigeria. Number one, as researchers, we try to look at the root cause of all issues, all social problems, such as the security situations we're facing now. And then we try to look at the actors. Who are really the actors? What are their characteristics? Do they have a pattern of doing things in their own lives? And the third is, how are, for example, the other actors on the other hand responding? First, I should say that in northwest Nigeria, we have so many issues. Prominent among these ones are poverty and rising unemployment and rising population, especially large size of youths, what social researchers call youth bulge. Of course, youth bulging is not a problem. It's always good for societies and communities to have young people who are productive, but it's also impacting on the society negatively if those energetic people do not have where to spend their energy, especially to spend their energy where they could have some means of income, some means of livelihood. So in Northwest, we have security situation principally because there is poverty, there is rise in unemployment, and there is rise in the number of people we have in the Northwest. Conventionally, Northwest has the largest population in Nigeria. We believe over 60 million people reside in the 7 states in the Northwest. In Katsina State, we have about 8 million of these 60 million people or more. Now, out of these 8 million or more, 76% of these people are said to be income poor, which means they don't have enough resources to take care of themselves and take care of their families, whether they are married or their aged parents. Then you also look at the characteristics of the people. The second one, the characteristics of people now in question are the pastoralists, not necessarily the Fulanis. But if you go to the pastoralists, you will see 90% of them are the Fulanis. They are of the Fulani extraction. Now, there were so many revolutions, revolts, not only in Nigeria, but in other neighborhoods, like Niger, like Chad, like Cameroon, like Ivory Coast, like Senegal, where Fulani revolts against the government. In fact, even if you go back to history, the Fulani Jihad of northwestern Nigeria that conquered all of the Hausa land, or most of it, it started as a revolution, as a revolt, because Sheikh Dampodier was oppressed by the Gobir hegemony, the chiefs at the Gobir, Alkala to be precise. Now, exactly this is what is being replicated in the Northwest. Because there, when the Fulanis were oppressed, they revolted and the revolution became political. So they were looking for political offices at the end of the day, according to some people, and some people, most actually took the side of religious war. Now, in this case, to me, as a researcher, in the last 10 years, I've been studying this banditry, and I have realized over time, I don't know whether time will permit us to say this, but over time, I have realized these people who started this banditry in northwest Nigeria were initially oppressed. And when the oppression became too much, they revolted. Now, because their revolt was not contained in good time, it now become just like during the Fulani Jihad, when it transformed to a political revolution, it now become an economic sort of revolution, because there were so many people who realized suddenly that it is even better to start kidnap for ransom than to go into legitimate business. Because in northern Nigeria, there's no business today that can give you as much money as kidnap for ransom. Therefore, all manner of people who have no business into going into hiding animals, who have no business with the Fulanis, they don't even understand the language, they don't even look like them.
So one can now say, Dr. Daruma, Dr. Daruma, can you hear me?
This is
can you hear me?
What I believe brought about the whole issue. Now, your question, okay.
Yes. Now, from what we know of the Usman Danfodio-led jihad, it was to introduce the Islamic religion in areas that had paganists adopting it as their religion. But this time around, the banditry you liken to that conquest is economic in nature.
Yes, that's what I said. Okay. I said it's I just gave that as you know, to try to give the root cause of all of it. I said even the jihad started as a revolution, as a revolt against oppression of the Hausa hegemony rulers on the Fulanis. Now also here, the government in northwest Nigeria, most of it, actually started the kind of revolt that we saw in the Fulanis. Because I remember when this thing started in about 2011, 2012, it started as farmers pastoralist clashes. And then when the farmers were killing their animals, they went back to the villages to collect the animals of those farmers to replace their own killed animals. That was how it started in the history. So actually it started between farmers in the villages, in the outskirts of the cities and the villages, deep villages, close to where these pastoralists graze. And the pastoralists, most of them not Fulanis, in fact. So subsequently, the governments came into it. They went about in 2015, end of 2015 and early 2016, they went about confiscating loads of heads of cattle. And they were saying this was stolen animals. Unfortunately, when I saw this in late 2015, I think, or early 2016, when I saw one of the governors in Northwest standing between heads of cattle, about 10,000 heads, saying that all those 10,000 were stolen cattle, I knew we were going to come into this situation, because I knew there is no way that these people can steal 10,000 heads of cattle from farmers.
Okay, now.
And that's where we are.
Yes, now.
When it started, these people said their cattle were confiscated and they wanted to get equivalent pay for their cattle through ransom. That's how it started.
So is it a revolt of the Fulanis against the Fulanis? Because some of these communities are Fulani areas and the governors of some of these states are Fulani extraction. So is it that it is a way of getting back even at their own?
Yes, actually, yes, some of them are of Fulani extraction, like you said. In fact, most of them, even if they are not pure Fulanis, there are mixed Fulani Hausa of extraction like myself. But the whole issue is that, as at that time, they were trying to score cheap political points because they believe if they confiscate those cattle, those animals, then they will have some political scores. Now, I remember Governor Erifai was on national television, I don't know where your station, talking about, that was late 2016, early 2017, talking about giving money to these Fulanis to allow his people raised peacefully. That he didn't want a situation whereby his people will be killed again and again. And then he started giving them money. Now, 2020, 2019, this same governor who said, no more giving money. So it means he started giving money, he opened the gate, and he realized that he opened the gate without really having necessary consultation to know whether it's going to end as he would have desired. He went just arrogantly and started doing it. Now it became a problem that nobody can contain, or it's difficult to contain. That's if appropriate measures are taken to contain it.
Now,
I remember very well, in 2015, around December, my own relative was kidnapped. We had to pay 5 million naira to get him back. And when this relative was coming out of the den of those kidnappers, they said, from the look of you, you can talk to Governor Erifai. Go and tell him that our cattle he confiscated were not stolen. They go and tell him we came from Senegal with our cattle. That if our cattle were not returned to us, we will continue to kidnap you people until we recover the equivalent money for our cattle. And I remember a governor, Abdulaziz Yari, was on international radio, BBC Hausa, talking about his own people, 41 of them. That was in about 2018, 2017. That 41 of them were kidnapped, and that they were negotiating with the kidnappers. At the end of the day, he said in Hausa, and I am sure I'm not the only person who had it, some people will remember this, that they were negotiating with the kidnappers. The kidnappers said, give us back our cattle, we will give you back your people. And he said, shamelessly, we gave them back their cattle and they gave back our people. Which means it's the issue of oppression, that this Fulani were initially oppressed, that brought about all of this kidnapping and banditry. Is still, the theory is still valid in this case. And the third example I will give is that there was this, I have all these videos and all these audios. I have over 3,000 videos and audios in my collection. There was this audio that I have heard. One person was kidnapped, and the person was from Kuna local government in Kano State. He was kidnapped on his way from Abuja to Kano. And during the negotiation between him and his brother, and between the kidnappers and his brother, the kidnappers were saying exactly the same thing.
Okay.
That if our animals were not returned to us, we will continue to kidnap you until we recover our money.
Now,
as part
do you
of
think,
my research,
Dr.
I followed
Daruma,
someone to Niger Republic. Okay.
do you think, based on your understanding of the situation, that our government, both federal, states, and local government, and security agencies, understand it the way you do, the conflict?
Well, even if they don't understand it the way I do, I am sure we've been telling them this over 6 years ago. I had a research group in Katsina, Freedom Research Group, Pleasant Research and Development Group. I had a research group of over 50 researchers, most of us PhD holders. And we have organized so many gatherings, and we've invited police, we met all the security agencies, we met in the government, and we discussed all of these things. We discussed our research findings. Just like I was saying, I traced one notorious kidnapper to far away Niger. I went to see him in Zindar region, that is Zindar state, far away. And the man could not see me until I spent about 3 days trying to convince him, because he was among the people who kidnapped my relation that I gave the story back. He kidnapped him, and because the person was not like he was actually I would say a good kidnapper, because he was praying. He was doing his regular prayers and everything. And each time my brother will
does that make him a good kidnapper?
And when he still kept in touch with my brother.
Can you hear me, Dr.
Exchanging
Daruma?
numbers, and they were calling, and he kept on, even in Niger, kept on exchanging numbers. So I had to trace him back to Niger to find out their only reason. I related all of these things in reports that we gave to governments. So even if they don't know, even if they don't believe in our position, our situation, it is research finding. It's not us that we just came and start saying this is what happened, this is what happened, just out of no or conceptualization. It's actually out of evidence. So, and the government can now see what we are saying. We said it started as a robot. They have seen it. And it has now transcended to an economic means of getting things. It's an industry now.
In the course of the last point you were stressing, you made mention of a good kidnapper, the person that was one of those behind the kidnap of your relative. And I'm wondering, what makes him a good kidnapper? I say he prays. Can there be a good kidnapper?
Well, yeah, just like I said, we were trying to trace these people who are involved, the actors, really the actors, including the security actors, the national security actors here in Nigeria. We were trying to actually make our theory falsifiable. We were trying to prove that it was really revolt that transcends into economic activity for people. So some of them really retired automatically, but those who are not, who are in it now, that's what I would say. I will not say who are not retired, but who are in it now. Indeed, if you study it, because every day there is a kidnap, there are killings, and there are rustling of animals. I take note of it, and I have data loads of these things. I can tell you that the greatest casualties are the Fulanis themselves. People who are of the Fulani extraction are the people who suffer more than the people who are mixed Fulanis and Hausas. Why do I say this? I said this because of two things. People who are of Fulani extraction, they are the people who generally have animals, and these animals are the items that are being stolen, mostly. Number two, these people also supplement their income using farming. And they are the people who now cannot farm due to insurgency. And there are people who stay close to the areas where this insurgency takes place, because the Fulani man always like to stay far away from the people where he can go and tender for his animal. So they are the people who are displaced. So most of the internally displaced people are also Fulanis. So I would say that the rate of people who are sufferers of this thing are more Fulanis than non-Fulanis. Of course, I'm not talking about the number.
Your point made. Your point made. What I wanted was a clarification on the issue of a good kidnapper.
Please take it again.
I wanted your clarification on the issue of a good kidnapper. That's a kidnapper that prays and subscribes to tenets of the Quran, like you said earlier.
Yes, the group kidnappers actually, to me, they are criminals. They are not really doing the kidnap for them to recover what was stolen from them by the government and other people. They have now made it an industry. That's why I say it's now become an industry and economic venture. And it has long supply chain, long value chain. Now, these people are criminals. And the only way to deal with them is the way government is taking the whole thing. Deal with them militarily. When they realize that they cannot continue to do these things, then you can start negotiating with them just as much as the Boko Haram people are doing now. They will come out on themselves and ask for negotiation. We know. We've been saying this long way back. But the most important thing I believe governments of Northwestern states should do is that they should come together. They should unite themselves. They should coordinate and strategize. They should have uniform way of handling the situation. In the past, 2 years ago, or 1.5 years, we kept on asking governments, please, you can't have criminals more organized than you. Criminals, when they want to attack, they will invite people from different camps to come and team up with them to go and attack people in their villages, kill hundreds and tens of them. But the governments of the 7 states cannot come together and have a coordinated strategy to handle the case. This government will say we are negotiating. This government will say we are not negotiating. There's no way we can negotiate. And things like that. So, but thank God, we have seen that this government, these 7 governments are now coming together
Absolutely.
to do similar things or the same thing.
Exactly.
So I believe based one way to solve this issue is to have the governments coordinating with the federal government. Because one thing that we know, everyone knows in Nigeria, the security of this country is the responsibility of the federal government. Even that is what is designed in the Constitution. Therefore, the police, the military, and the paramilitary personnel are all under the control of the government.
Okay, Dr. Darma, now, your point well made, because I wanted to bring in the role of the federal government, but at the end you said consultations with the federal government, and rightly, I recall when the governor of Kaduna State was complaining about the discordant tones in terms of the different states, especially in the Northwest, approach to issue of dealing with banditry, some advocating negotiations and others saying military solution. But like you observed, there's a uniform approach now. Now, this is extending beyond the Northwest to other parts of Nigeria. Kidnapping take place across Nigeria. What should all these states do? Does it not tell you that it is a national problem that goes beyond the Northwest and the federal government, and is a problem for the federal government, states, local government, and perhaps the international community?
Yes, it's a national issue. In fact, it's an international problem. It's not only national. Yes, it has gone beyond the Northwest. It's in the North Central, the Southeast, Southwest, and some extent South-South. It's in the Northeast as well. In fact, it's in Niger Republic. They go to Niger Republic to kidnap people. It's in Cameroon. And I am sure you'll hear it very soon in the Chad Republic. So what I'm trying to say here, it's an international problem. Now, why is it an international problem? Most of the arms that are being used, we've seen videos, we have a lot of videos of couriers of these armories. They said they will get them from Libya, bring them to Niger. There are people who bring them from Libya to Niger. There are people who bring them from Niger in Agadez area to bring it up to Maradi area. And there are people who take it from Maradi area to bring it into Nigeria Nigeria. So it means it's now an international trade. And we've had that for each of the AK-47 they carried from Libya, they came here to Nigeria and sell it about a million or 700,000 naira. So it's now a big trade. And I have also videos and audios that actually some of the security personnel were involved, because people were arrested and they will say, when I get from so place, I will call this soldier, he will come in his uniform, he will escort me to come to Nigeria, because at the border area, nobody will stop a uniform man to ask him where he was going. So all of these things, we have proof of it taking place.
How much?
So
Dr. Daruma, Doctor, can you hear me, Dr. Daruma? Can you hear me? How much of this information and intelligence have you shared with the security agencies?
No, it's on the social media. It's not for me to even share it. I just saw it like every other person. All I do is, as a researcher, when I see it, I save it. I save it.
You know the danger.
But everybody has seen it.
The danger of relying on
people who are,
the danger of relying on social media videos is that one may reach the wrong conclusion and one may not authenticate the source, and it may not be quite right to reach conclusions, especially with allegations of connivance of security agencies with them based on that. That's why I asked whether you shared those information with the security agencies. But beyond that, let me get your reaction, your perspective to the position of the Northern Elders Forum to the latest security measures rolled out, especially in the northwest part of the country. Dr. Hakeem Baba Ahmed, the spokesperson of the Northern Elders Forum, issued a statement, and I'll read. These measures represent virtual economic and social lockdowns on people who had been at the mercy of criminals for a long time, unless they are accompanied by an aggressive and effective military assault on the banditry and kidnapping industry. They will merely add to the misery and hopelessness of our communities.
Yes, thank you so much, Amechi. Well, you see, let me say this. When I say it's on social media, I don't mean any social media. I mean when police were interviewing those arrested with arms coming into Nigeria, they will interview them. And then these people will now state exactly what is happening, how they collect all these things. They will now list the long chain of how they collect all of these things and where they sold them. So I'm not talking about just anyhow information on social media. I'm talking about what the police themselves release on social media.
Okay.
Therefore, as far as I'm concerned, what the police themselves release on social media is authenticated, is a thing that one can use as an evidence. Now, okay, coming back to what Dr. Baba Ahmed said, it's very true. It's very true. Now, our research in Katsina, just Katsina State, has shown that at the end of this rainy season, over 40% of cultivable lands in Katsina State will not yield no crop, which means there will be the issue of food insecurity in Katsina. That's one. And now you know that we have close to 1 million people who are displaced in Katsina at different places, different local governments, especially these 8 frontline local governments. And then you also understand with me that because the issue now is beyond the 8 frontline local governments, it has gone deep into places I will call urban Katsina local governments, the 7 of them. None of these 7 urban Katsina local governments is free of this banditry, including the headquarters, Katsina itself. So as far as what Obama said, it is going to impact on the people in this region. generally on every space of life. In fact, it's not only the Arewa Consultative Forum or the Arewa Elders Forum. The Council of Ulama has been saying it for a long time. People who are less significant, like researchers, have been publishing papers and trying to give a lot of indications of what's going to happen. And ordinary people, even, who will, CBOs and NGOs who will come together to discuss situations like this. So this is not new. What Baba Ahmad said, most likely, he gathered information from all the states that are involved, because I know the Elders Forum is a viable organization that is concerned with what is happening in the North.
Okay, now you earlier noted that at some point it was because of the economic deprivation, poverty and unemployment that is helping to foster this banditry. Now, you also recommended we take military action against them, push them to the extent that they may want to come out and negotiate. But beyond that, some will say perhaps we are attacking the symptoms, that we need to devote more time to the disease itself. The disease of economic deprivation, poverty, unemployment, illiteracy. What will you speak to that?
This is a really serious issue. In fact, you talking about this can even make me cry. Let me give you the picture of what's happening, especially in Katsina State. I just say that we are about 8 million people, and 76% of these 8 million people, over 5 million, are income poor. By being income poor, it means they will not be able to get, according to World Bank's definition, $1.25 at 2011 dollar value, which means about 400 naira per day at 2011 dollar value. Now, if you're talking about today's dollar value, you're talking about 1,000 naira per day. Now, it means we have over 5 million people in Katsina alone who cannot get that amount of money. Now, if you go to the Northwest, we have over 40 million people who cannot get $1.25 per day, and they are income poor. And most of these 40 million people, close to 35 million of them, are young people between the age of 15 and 49. I'm just including that range 49 because they are the most active people around in those age group. That's one. When you talk about education in the North, entirely, we have missed it when it comes to education. In fact, we're not right now. I believe, as a teacher, that we should even stop talking about quality education in the North, because you cannot. We've been talking about it for 25, 30 years, and we're not anywhere near to what is called quality education. I will give you an example. In Katsina State, we have over 3.5 million children and students, pupils, in our primary school and secondary school, government-owned primary school and secondary schools. If you add that to about 500 who are in private and community schools, you are approaching about 4 million of people who are in only primary and secondary education in Katsina State. And when you come to the public sphere, as far as education is concerned, the governments are trying. They are trying because they are spending a lot of money into education. But probably all this expenditure is not showing the results at the end of the day. Because if you have 3 million people, you have 145,000 of them taking exam at the end of the year. Exam is an indicator of success of education in Nigeria now, WAEC and NECO. And if you have 145,000 of them taking only 20%, passing, getting 5 credits and above, and you think you still continue to go with the policies of education that you are running, then I think you are missing something. So yes, it's true. Poverty and right education, I'm not saying quality education, right education are the major issues in northern states. Now, poverty, we know government is trying to do a lot of things. Even just recently, I saw Mr. President talking about coming out with a program that will empower 20,000 graduates, whatever it is. When I watched him on television, I nearly cried, because people who went to him to tell him that's a solution probably must have convinced him, because in his face, you can see that he is totally convinced that what he was saying will help. But to some of us, we believe that will not help.
Thanks for checking out SYMFONI on YouTube. Please be sure to subscribe and like our videos for updates.